What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, as I am back for yet another album review for you guys. And this one, it's the other big one that came out during this past weekend on Valentine's Day weekend, go figure. And it is the 14th studio album from Finnish heavy metal masters Amorphis, and it's called Halo. Brief history lesson about Amorphis for all you noobs is that Amorphis originally formed as a progressive death doom band out of Finland in 1990, and their first two albums, Carillion Isthmus and Tales from the Thousand Lakes, are classic Finnish death metal albums, but very different from the other Finnish death metal bands at the time. Like I said, more proggy, death doom, and kind of like with Tales from the Thousand Lakes, one of the first in the melodic death metal genre at the time, but then ever since then they've kind of gone away from the death doom side of things and have stuck out with more of a straightforward melodic death metal sound with elements of prog and folk and symphonic metal and even hard rock kind of mashed together into their sound, really going forward post Tales from the Thousand Lakes, and especially ever since they picked up vocalist Tommy Joutsen. And here we are with their 14th album, and let's find out how it stacks up. So we kick things off with Northwards, or Northwards. After some dramatic symphonic ambience in the background, the song builds up with some tasteful keyboards, and eventually the melodic death metal fury is unleashed, and then it even turns very chunky and heavy with the riff, like almost like a straight up death metal riff, and the vocals getting down and dirty with Tommy's growls. But then we get into an epic fucking chorus with some soaring clean vocals in the first half, and then the second half you get the more growl vocals in the second half of the chorus, but still maintaining beautiful melodic instrumentation in the background. Great bass line leading into a nice groove before it gets into a beautiful lead section where the guitars and the keyboards actually trade off each other, which I really like that. And you hear that on a couple of tracks where you get into the leads where the guitars and the keyboards get their moment of shred in there. And as we build up to the final chorus, the song gets folky with some choir vocals on top, and the final growl at the end was so strong, like Tommy Joutsen just going nuts and just going for it all to lead into the finale of the track. On the Dark Waters, the following track, with some folky-inspired guitars and keyboards, leading into a beautiful lead to start the song out. And then the tempo of this track kind of gets into a slight gallop, like almost like a slower Iron Maiden song. Another beautiful chorus coming through, carrying you on an epic journey. Quickfire lead to add more to the melody before the next verse would come in. And then after the second chorus, we get a really cool Middle Eastern folk-inspired lead, which was so wonderfully placed and well executed. The final section gets very epic yet intense, as I actually got goosebumps while this was happening because of how well done and how epic and intense it was. Then we get to track number 3 with The Moon. Dark piano and percussion going on to kind of set the mood for this track as it goes into a somber lead right off the bat, letting you know that this track will be darker and a little more somber than the first two. We get some proggy instrumentation going on with the time signatures going into 3/4 on the verses. Once again, another wonderful chorus with more of that folky influence with a faint acoustic guitar in the background. And as we enter the bridge section, the drums, the orchestral elements, and the guitars are building up in an intense and epic fashion. Things calm down a little bit while the bass line is carrying the song forward. Some wailing female vocals and faint keyboards can be heard before we get into the final section, which it's almost like a triumphant. It started off triumphant briefly before it goes back to feeling dark and somber to conclude this song. Wind Main, which has some keyboards and clean guitars to lead into an atmospheric guitar passage. I about said patch. I cannot speak today. It leads into a clean guitar passage that kind of reminds me of Mastodon a little bit with how atmospheric it gets. More folky atmosphere can be heard before it gets intense with the riffing, the drums, the vocals, and even some tribal percussion going on. The chorus this time around has a bit of a sci-fi feel to it, which is really unique. I love the Mastodon influence I hear all throughout the track with the guitar work and the atmosphere. The bridge gets epic once again, and it leads into one of the best leads of the album, and once again the guitars and the keyboards trading off one another in a tasty way. And the song ends in a triumphant fashion, almost like as if you've conquered a burden in your life and you feel relieved when it's over. Like, finally, this problem in my life is gone. I can move on now. Moving into a new land, beautiful melodic lead right away to start things off. The verse starts off aggressive and then turns melodic as we get a brief little beautiful duet with the female vocals and Tommy. The pre-chorus has a great mixture of beauty and aggression as it leads into another epic chorus. There are a lot of epic choruses and catchy choruses throughout this entire album. More of that Middle Eastern inspired folky parts coming in briefly before the second verse comes through. And then after the second chorus, we get a fiery lead with some awesome instrumental build-up driving the song forward. Those Middle Eastern folk parts come back as it leads into the second half of the awesome lead, and finishing off with the chorus once again. When the Gods Came, which is maybe my favorite track of the album up to this point. Some somber keyboards getting things started. Hiccup, son of a bitch. Leading into a killer groove with great guitar melody, similar to something I would hear from a classic Opeth album, but with epic keyboards on top of the groove and the riffs going on. The verses on this track definitely feel something like Opeth would have written. The pre-chorus and the chorus itself, very energetic and epic once again with a lot of passion put into them. The second verse bringing back more of the folk influence and more tribal percussion and faint acoustic guitars. And then after the second pre-chorus, we get an awesome breakdown with a fantastic lead that just goes through the bridge section and all the way through into the second chorus. The best lead of the album, I would say, up to this point, because there are a few other great leads to follow after this. Seven Roads Come Together. Cool keyboards with a driving bass line leading into some fast-paced, epic quality with the drums going crazy and the guitars going to town. And then things get heavy real quick as it settles into an aggressive yet progressive groove with the verse, kind of similar to the last In Mourning album a little bit. The chorus gets back to being fast-paced with more soaring vocals. Love the double bass work on the drums during the chorus as well. And then after the second chorus, a beautiful quick lead that carries feeling of sorrow as it leads into the bridge, which keeps that sorrow atmosphere going. Afterwards, things get dramatic as the riff and vocals provide a dramatic backdrop as it leads into more of that fast-paced action from earlier, ending off with another great, tasty guitar lead. Now we get into the song War. Things start off dark once again with this track as we get some folky instrumentation before it goes from darkness to epicness right off the bat as the melodies come through. The verse has a nice groove as the drums kind of provide this great marching rhythm. The pre-chorus has some slight black metal influence as the vocals get higher and a little raspy. Well, it's kind of like together along with the growls. It was almost kind of like something you would hear from early Deicide, where you hear the black metal shriek and the low guttural vocals from Glenn Benton. Kind of had that vibe a little bit, where you hear the high raspy black metal vocals and the low death metal growl kind of coming together in the pre-chorus. all leading to probably one of the softer choruses of the album with more emphasis on that somber atmosphere that's coming in with the chorus. The marching rhythms, along with the choir vocals following with the guitars, help provide an atmosphere of like battlefield carnage almost. And this track definitely focuses more on rhythms and atmosphere more than it does about riffs and other things along those lines. It was a unique track, to say the very least. I actually really like it for being a little bit different, where it focuses more on rhythms and atmosphere rather than memorable riffs and stuff like that. Now we get to the title track, Halo. After some more dramatic ambience, it gets into more fast-paced epicness with a great melodic guitar line. The verses are much softer on this track, while the drums are providing more of that marching groove once again, before the pre-chorus has a cool 3/4 time shift. And then the chorus itself gets beautiful and epic with some faint growls in the background to kind of provide a little bit of like an intense vibe, or not vibe, an intense atmosphere to kind of embellish the beauty that's going on with the chorus. This track definitely has the most clean vocals up to this point, like not like faint growls. It's pretty much all clean vocals on this track. And then another wonderful duet with the female vocals coming back in the second verse. The bridge has some awesome orchestral play going on as it leads into a quick lead, before settling down to let the keyboards and the wailing female vocals kind of provide a sense of sorrow before bursting into the final chorus. The Wolf fast riff to get things started in a more upbeat fashion. The verse is quite aggressive, with the riffs and the drums having a vicious rhythm to it, while the chorus maintains wonderful melody. And after the second chorus, another wonderful lead with a lot of feel to it as the vocals come in to add more emphasis to the somber quality of this guitar lead. And then the acoustic guitars and the bass in the background helps to add more on top of the lead playing going on. Afterwards, some choir vocals come in to build to the final chorus to bring this track to a close. And then we get to the finale track, My Name is Night, featuring, I'm gonna have to try and pronounce this, Petronella Niedermalm. If I butcher that, I apologize. But this track is the softest song of the whole album. Somber acoustic guitars with wind sounds and orchestral elements starting things off. And then Petronella comes in with her voice, and she's got a great voice. And the combination of her voice with the acoustic guitars, the mellotron, and piano really adds a somber atmosphere to this song. And then Tommy comes in for the chorus, and even the electric guitars come in a little faintly before it leads into the most somber lead of the album. Beautiful duet with Tommy and Petronella in the second verse. The electric guitars come in a little more in the mix in the final chorus, but it still provides more sorrow to this grand finale. And what a way to close out an amazing album. So overall, while some of the tracks do feel a little bit formulaic, but it's a great formula, and I really, really love this album. Like, I'm definitely probably going to pick this one up eventually, because I love the great, like, balance of catchy choruses, intense riffing, great lead work, awesome drum patterns, and the vocals. That combination of the growls and the cleans, really, really well executed. Tommy Joutson's definitely, in my opinion, among the best to be able to do both cleans and growls, kind of neck and neck with Michael Ackerfeld from Opeth, in my opinion. But yeah, it's like I said, while it might come off as a bit formulaic the way the songs are kind of put together, it's a great formula to go for, because if the formula ain't broke, don't try and fix it, in all honesty. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this is another top contender for Album of the Year. Man, we're only a month and a half in, and we're getting some amazing stuff right off the bat. It's already going to make this year's Album of the Year list for me so difficult. I'm giving this a 10 out of 10. I absolutely loved this album. I love how it was put together. The production was great. Everything comes through pretty much clear, except for like the moments where you hear like faint moments, but that's more to kind of provide an atmosphere rather than coming through into the mix along with the other instrumentation going on. Like the balance of the prog influence here and there, as well as the folk influence, but this is pretty much straight up like a melodic death metal album, bar none. And yeah, this is definitely one I'm gonna get on CD here very, very soon. But yeah, what did you guys think of Halo by Amorphis? Let me know in the comments below. And until my next video, which a couple of updates regarding some videos coming soon. If I can get my mouse to stop moving. My mouse is being stupid. So, of course, another episode of Under the Radar is coming this week, but I will also begin recording the band versus band video sometime this weekend. I originally was going to record it yesterday, but I felt like, why don't I wait a little bit more in case people have more suggestions. And if you guys want to suggest bands for the band versus band list, go to the community tab on my YouTube page and go to the last post where you can comment your suggestions for band versus band, and hopefully those videos will come out next week. But until then, horns high, and I will see you soon. Well, after we got done eating, we're on our car ride. Look at this fucking shit.
Look at this bus. Where are you going, sir? I rode the bus here when I was little, and the bus route doesn't even go up this road. It's supposed to go around. What are you doing, sir? Big doors, small doors. You want to buy a door? We'll sell you a door. We only sell doors. We're Door Incorporated. We only sell doors. What the fuck is my life come to? I'm never gonna live it down because Johnny Benson has ruined me. Financially, mentally, physically. Johnny Benson, dude. If you're out there, Johnny, this one's for you.